What is up, everybody? How is everybody doing today? And welcome back to another Clash Mini video on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be going over Clash Mini tier list, and this is going to get you guys the highest amount of trophies for the end of the season, as I'm going to be breaking down what minis to use with what heroes, and what minis work best inside of the current meta. But thank you so much for Soundstripe for partnering up with us on this video, providing all of the music that you are hearing in this video. If you guys are interested in any of the music, you can go to soundstripe.com. You can put in code Enchatin for 20% off. All of their music is non-copyright, so you can put that on your YouTube or your streams. All right, so let's just jump right into this video. Here we have the D tier. We're just jumping right into the minis. We have the Fisherman in the D tier here. I know a lot of you said you like to see all of the minis all at once because you forget, you know, the minis as they come out too quickly. So I am doing this. Let me know in the comments below if you guys like this kind of difference where I just show all of the minis all at once and then I go over them one by one. Fisherman is going to be our first mini up. Unfortunately, the Fisherman just doesn't pick up too much value. It just doesn't stop too much, and honestly, it right now is not in a good spot. I would never use the Fisherman. I think the Fisherman is just a pocket pick that you could use, but honestly, you just don't get enough value unless you're very, very, very good at Clash Mini. And even still, even if you were one of the best Clash Mini players in the world, I'd still only put it maybe at the B tier. It just does not pick up enough value for what it does. Knight is also going to be in the D tier. Unfortunately, melee minis are just not here right now. It just never really picks up enough value. Yes, the Knight actually with the buffs got actually pretty good. But the problem with the Knight is, if you're using any hero or anything that needs energy, the Knight is going to taunt everything away. And unfortunately, right now, the name of the game is stuns, and the Knight really doesn't do anything as far as that is concerned. It doesn't do any damage, it doesn't do any stuns, and with so much backline minis doing damage, the Knight just doesn't pick up enough value. Guard is also going to be in the D tier here. The Guard with the shield up, with the extra shield to your opponents. I mean, these two minis here, the Knight and the Guard, they should be good. I don't even know how to make them any better because they're on the cusp of being great, but unfortunately they are just not there. And I feel like right now in Clash Mini, crowd control, or aka stuns, knockbacks, things that make you not able to attack, slows, everything like that is just so crucial. And unfortunately, these two elixir minis are just not there right now. Next up, we're going to have the C tier here. The C tier is going to consist of minis that are decently okay. They could be used, but prefer not to use if you want to win. Spear Goblin is actually going to be in the C tier here. Yes, the Spear Goblin could be in the B tier, but it's only good in one deck, really, in my opinion, and that's going to be the Skeleton King Clash deck. The Skeleton King Clash deck is really good, and the Spear Goblin is very good there, but it only has a unique kind of ability that is going to be used for gizmos, so it's very good for taking out gizmos. Yes, it could be in the B tier, but honestly, if you're using it for a gizmo and it really doesn't pan out too well for you, you do lose some damage, and there are other minis that are just a little bit better than it in the 2 elixir tier, but it is good in the Skeleton King Clash deck, so you are going to use it at least for one deck in the meta. But we have the Musketeer here. Musketeer is okay. It's decent-ish with Archer Queen. Other than that, you really don't want to really use it too much. Wave Master 3 elixir, you can use it, but Wave Master kind of has Bandit right now, and that kind of makes it a little clunky, and then you really don't want to use the Musketeer. It also has energy, and it doesn't really pick up too much value because it takes up a long time to ramp up that energy. If the bandit comes and steals it, then the Musketeer kind of becomes useless. We have the Golden Giant here as well. The Golden Giant is a very good mini, but unfortunately, with the amount of stuns in the game, it's good, but you also have other troops that just slow it down. I mean, there's just way too much damage right now inside of Clash Mini for a tank that really doesn't do much stunning or anything like that. It's just a big health stick in the middle. But if I'm going for health sticks here, I would rather have either the guard or the knight. They cost a little bit cheaper. They're a lot, healthier as far as that is concerned, especially for 4 elixir. You can pick up a lot of HP onto the knight or the guard. The golden giant does have its value, and that is versus wave masters and things like that. But I just think the golden giant right now is in an awkward spot. It is a very good mini. Could it be in the B tier? Potentially, but I'm going to keep it in the C tier, which is a very, very good mini, but it only really is good for, like, let's just say Countess late game. But if you put it too early, the Countess stacks up too much, and then it's like, so you can't really do that. I mean, the witch does do very, very good versus monks, but there just aren't very many monks in the meta. I think if there was way more monks in the meta right now, the witch would be way more higher on my tier list. But unfortunately for the witch, I think the witch is only good in late game versus countess, and it's also good versus monk. Those 2 heroes aren't really that prevalent right now, and there are a little bit of countesses, but honestly, the witch just is not worth it. If there was a ton of monk players, I would say the witch would at least be in the B tier, maybe even the A tier, depending on how high the monk was. Ice Wizard is going to be in the C tier here. Now, the Ice Wizard's an awkward mini because the Ice Wizard could be in the B tier, could be in the A tier, but it also could be in the C tier if they have a royal champion, if they have a nature born, if they have an archer queen. The Ice Wizard kind of goes in the D tier. So, that's why the Ice Wizard is in the C tier. It slows down, the melee heroes, but anything that's not a melee carry, unfortunately, the Ice Wizard just doesn't do very much with, and right now there's a lot of ranged carries. Next up, we're going to have the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is okay. It's all right. It doesn't really pick up too much value. Kind of got a lot of value with throwing over with the Wave Master, with the shield. That's where it got a super lot of power. Then you could swap that. You can put the giant skeleton. You can throw the giant skeleton over, and you can have the Valkyrie just attack things as the giant skeleton was thrown over from your Wave Master with a shield. But right now, the Valkyrie doesn't do a lot. Yes, the anti-heal is good, but that's really all it's worth. If you're not playing versus a heal deck, the Valkyrie kind of is almost useless. The B tier here is going to be next up. We are going to have the Battle Healer is the first mini out. These really aren't so much in order here as far as that is concerned on any of the tier lists, but it is in the B tier here. I'm talking about it's not better than the bowler, not worse than the bowler. We're just going to put it, in the same tier. So we have the Battle Healer, and the Battle Healer is interesting. The Battle Healer is good because it heals. There are certain decks that are good with it. It's a lot better in lower hero level matches where you have level 7, level 8, level 9 heroes. It definitely picks up a little bit more value there, especially where everybody doesn't have all of the minis maxed as well. The Battle Healer is good, but it's just not amazing, and that's kind of why it's in this kind of B tier. It doesn't stun, and it's kind of awkward. It's really only good right now with the Shield Maiden, and that's kind of why it's in the B tier. Bowler is going to be our next mini up here. Now, the Bowler's a super interesting mini. It is like that mini that wants to pop off so hard, but it's held back a little bit. It just doesn't do enough damage. The stun's really, really good, but you need it to be, almost your full carry, and that's a lot of elixir. That's 12 elixir for the bowler to really be good. Let's just say 9 elixir if you want to, stack up the energy super on its own, and that's just a lot of elixir to put on a bowler instead of another carry inside of the game. Mega Knight's going to be our next mini up here. Mega Knight is absolutely an absolute monster when used amazingly, but very, very, very weak when not. So that is why it's going to be in the B tier here. Unfortunately, right now in the game, the Mega Knight just doesn't get enough value. I just don't know why. I keep on trying to play the Mega Knight. I keep on trying to make it work, but it just keeps getting stunned. It keeps getting slowed. It keeps getting knocked back. It keeps getting energy zapped now from the Bandit. And that's kind of what really put it, down is the Bandit, because as the Bandit goes past it, 4 energy is just a lot of energy to lose, and then if the Bandit goes by it again, that's 8 energy, and then the Mega Knight's just feeding the Bandit energy. That's kind of why the Bandit is taking out the Mega Knight, and the Mega Knight is in the B tier. Mini Pack is going to be next up in the B tier. Mini Pack is very, very strong. It's very, very good, but if it's not really used with the Wave Master or a lot of stuns, it really doesn't pick up too much value. I think the ability where it almost guarantees the damage with it hitting a stunned enemy, I think it's a flawed design, and the reason why I think it's a flawed design is because honestly, it's just, it works well with the Mega Knight, it works well with the Wave Master, it works well with the E-Wizard, and that's it. So it's okay, but there needs to be more stun minis in the game in order for the Mega Knight, or should I say the Mini P.E.K.K.A, to be very, very strong. Swordsman is an okay spot. Honestly, with the Wave Master choosing to throw over bandits instead of swordsmen, it kind of makes the swordsman's, you know, super ability with the shield and the amazingness kind of really go to nothing. And that's kind of why the swordsman kind of falls all the way to the B tier here. I think the bandit just outshines it in every single way. And I think the two minis that came out of the Wave Master 3 Elixir deck, in my opinion, would have been the Musketeer and the swordsman instead of the bandit, and let's just say another 2 Elixir mini to really round that out. And that's kind of why I see the witch and the swordsman being dropped. Next up, we have the wizard. The wizard is only here because of the anti-heal. That's it. It's a really strong mini. It's a really good mini. I think it's one of the best minis in the game when used correctly, but unfortunately, when there's no healing in the game with your opponent, you can't really make that your carry, and it's kind of like awkward because it is a 2 Elixir mini, and a lot of people are only playing with 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 2 Elixir minis, unless you're playing a Barbarian King 2 Elixir deck, and honestly, they're just stronger 2 Elixir minis. Barbarian is our next up in the B tier. Barbarian is a really good mini. It's a really strong mini. It's a very, 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 very good mini with the Archer, and that is why it is in the B tier. It's very strong in the Barbarian King 2 Elixir deck, and I think that that's the only deck that really should be used with the Barbarian. If you get the Elixir Collector and you can afford to get a 3-star Barbarian, it is absolutely strong as well, but it needs a lot to work, and it needs also another mini to be there, and that is why it is in the B tier. Next up, we have the Lumberjack here. Lumberjack with the Rage. It's just always going to be a solid mini. It's not a super overpowered mini. It's probably the worst mini in the B tier, but it does give you that Rage. It does give you your supers faster, and if you're playing an Electro Wizard versus an Electro Wizard battle, or an Archer versus an Archer battle, that extra speed up could be the difference in the match, and that is why the B tier is going to be with the Lumberjack. Next up, we have the Miner. The Miner is actually really good. It could even pressing on to the A tier here. It goes to the other side. It does a lot of damage. It does energy drain, but unfortunately now with the reworks, so that the minis target the backline troops as well, the Miner just is a little bit weaker as far as that is concerned. Honestly, the Miner's still in a good spot. It's just not as strong as it once was, and it's not really as annoying as it once was either, let's be honest, and that is why it is in the B tier. Barbarian King 2 Elixir with Miner is still very strong. Next up, we're going to be going over to the A tier here. We're going to be rattling off these minis because they're pretty easy to know why they're in the A tier. Dark Goblin does a lot of damage and picks up value. It just continues to shoot and shoot over and over again. It ramps up to infinity and can take over an entire match. Healing Ranger, it can heal, it can make your units unstoppable. It's a very, very strong super mini. All of these minis in the A tier could be played, and they are very, very, very strong right now in the current meta. Healing is very, very good, as well as the unstoppability. That's kind of the main thing here, especially with so many Electro Wizards and stuns in the current meta. We have the Royal Ghost here. Royal Ghost is very, very good in certain select decks. Could be good with Countess, could be good with Skeleton King, and it could also be good with other decks as well. His Royal Ghost, especially in lower levels, is very, very strong and one of the best minis in the game in very, very low trophy counts. We have the Magic Archer as well. Magic Archer puts off a ton of damage, especially if you can get a Sonin Magic Archer. I think everybody has seen one of those absolutely clear out of board in about 2 seconds. Magic Archer is really, really good. The only thing that's holding it back from being in the S tier is it doesn't really have anything that's a stun, a slow, or knockback, or anything like that, but it is super strong as far as just a raw damage output. Next up, we have the P.E.K.K.A. The P.E.K.K.A. is good here because the P.E.K.K.A. is the only real way you're going to be able to clear out Shield Maidens on a lot of these decks. Shield Maiden is very, very annoying, but if you have a P.E.K.K.A. hitting it for 12 damage right off of the bat, that's a huge bonus, and that's going to be a lot of value for you. You also can hit, 12 damage, let's just say on a Wave Master or on a Barbarian King. It just takes a lot of damage off of a big tanky unit, especially a big tanky hero that your opponent has, and that's why it is in the A tier. Giant Skeleton's going to be in the A tier because, hey, Listen, you still have the giant skeleton that can slow down troops, that can throw a huge bomb, that can even be thrown over by a weight master and really cause havoc, stunning their opponents forever and doing a lot of damage. It's just a super solid mini. Then we have the prince here. The prince, after the recent buffs, is on its way to the moon and beyond. Let me tell you something. The first star, the second star, it's great. You put the first and the second star on the prince. You put the prince right over there, Gizmo, and you go like this. You go, your Gizmo is going to fall to my prince. If not, I'm going to knock back the troop that you put in front of it. So you're going to have to put a weak troop that you're going to sacrifice. So you're losing at least 2 elixir there. Then I'm going to do 6 damage plus 9. I'm just going to do an infinite amount of damage to that mini. Then I'm going to do 2 damage on every single one of my attacks plus my extra damage that I'm going to be getting. It's just absolutely insane with the prince here. The prince buffs were amazing. I really wanted to put the prince in the S tier, but I held back. It's on the A tier. Next month, it could be in the S tier. Who knows? But it's super strong right now. Next up, we have the bandit here, and I know everybody's saying in chat how you're not putting the bandit in the S tier. The reason why I'm not putting the bandit in the S tier is for 2 reasons. The first reason is that the bandit is very, very good. It's very, very strong. But guess what? It struggles versus Barbarian King 2 Elixir. And you know what? If it struggles versus Barbarian King 2 Elixir because there's no real energy in that deck, I can't say that it is going to be huge. If a Barbarian King 2 Elixir player is very, very good, and he puts his Archer on the right side, he puts the Barbarian King on the left side, and he puts his Miner on the right side as well, guess what? The Bandit's gonna go to the Archer, then it's gonna go to the Miner, and then guess what? There's no steal onto the Barbarian King for a very, very long time. Your Bandit's gonna take forever to super up. The Barbarian King player goes like this. And you lose. That's just what happens right there. But other than that, the bandit's really, really strong in every other deck and every other thing. It's really good with Wave Master. Just throw it over and it picks up value. So you got to take it into account here. The bandit's very, very, very strong. But honestly, I don't think it's super, super strong right now. And it can't be in the S tier. The reason why is because the S tier is held by 2 minis, the Archer and the Electro Wizard. The Archer, I think everybody has seen an Archer ramp up, especially with the double Barbarian King buffs, especially with the buff in itself. It has 3 stacks, has 4 stacks of speed, and it just clears out your entire army by itself. The Archer is just a super strong mini right now, and the combination with the Barbarian King just makes it even stronger. I think right now that the Archer just needs a little bit of a nerf, but hey, use it while it lasts. Next up, we have the Electro Wizard. Honestly, probably the best mini in the game right now with the slows and everything like that. I would probably put the Archer ahead of it just a little bit, but the Electro Wizard is definitely a close second. The slows, the stuns, everything that the Electro Wizard does. It doesn't actually slow, but it stuns. You know what? It kind of just does everything. Honestly, when it shoots off, I don't even know what happens. I just close my eyes and I'm like, all right. Do we lose yet? And then I open them up and, you know, we win. But you know what? That's all right, because we're better than them. But it's all right. Our Electro Wizard is really, really strong. It's really, really good. And especially if you have, let's just say, a Lumberjack as well, and you can get off that first super with your Electro Wizard and just have some fun, you will be able to pick up victories. But if you don't have the Lumberjack, a lot of people don't worry. You can still run the Electro Wizard. You can still super up the Electro Wizard, and the Electro Wizard continuing to stun your opponent is how you're going to win. I think it's very simple. In the early rounds, try to get the 3rd star first, and then try to get the 1st star whenever you can. And then you can get the 2nd star when you can afford it, and then just take care of your opponents. But thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video. That is the tier list. I know this was a long one, but I love each and every single one of you. I hope you guys are enjoying the content on the stream, and I will see each and every single one of you tomorrow for my next video.